Just call to order and have a pledge of allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Trustee Evans,
Here.
trustee Winkleblack,
Here.
trustee Price. Here. And Mayor Wilcox.
Here.
And we do have some folks that want to speak to you tonight.
No changes in deletions to the agenda. First, we have Melanie Clark.
My name is Melanie Clark, from 59143 Coastal Creek Road. I'm just curious where we're at with the feasibility study.
What is it, what you said? The feasibility study.
Or the last part or the beginning? I was curious where we're at with the feasibility study. Which feasibility study? Water and sewer. Done.
Yeah, there was a work session, they presented it to us, maybe in October,
Has it been posted?
probably not.
It
You can probably request it. A quarter.
I don't remember ever seeing it. I never heard about it at the beginning and I'm in it.
It was after a meeting that KLJ did a presentation.
So what's the solution? I mean, are they increasing the rates or what are we doing?
Or you're talking about the utility rate study?
Huh?
Okay, feasibility study was the, yeah. Okay,
We haven't discussed that yet.
yeah.
Where are we at with it?
We haven't. Everything else going on, we haven't discussed it or had a workshop on that. That's part of our.
Any idea as to how long ago?
That's being analyzed and. It may be in the next couple of months that we have a meeting,
Thank you.
but we have plenty of water and we have room for seating.
It's for something.
Yeah, so, all right, so. I guess I should have read. In 3 minutes and identify yourself, and comments should be courteous, civil and constructive. And we'll make no decision or take action except to direct the town attorney. Normally it says the mayor, but I don't. Attorney's with us tonight, isn't it? Okay. Benny Mygator.
No.
Nope. Sylvia Spangler.
These people all with the funds. They're the people.
Right, right. So. We have the Historical Society
Only when I.
and the Cancer Fund. And then we have the Lions Club. So.
And the Congregational Church.
And right,
But he's
okay. But first we have the Plateau Valley Historical
Mr.
Society.
Mayor, the schedule is on the agenda.
Okay. All right, Plateau Valley Cancer Fund.
My name is Joyce Beckles, and I represent the Plateau Valley Cancer Fund. And here's a book that you can look. I'm going to leave it here at the office. You can look at some of the events we do. And here's our. We started the fund in 2013. And 2013, and I started it. There were a few inspirations that I had. One was Tammy Clark, And, she had breast cancer and her husband Justin had started a little fund for her. And for the rodeo. And so they had it for like 3 years and they didn't have any advertising per se or anything that was really happening to it. So when I moved here, I had a friend that had passed from cancer in California. And so I asked if I could help with the cancer fund. And I got the 501c3. We go on a pay it forward basis. That's what we built the cancer fund on, a pay it forward. All the people's money from the events come in and we disperse it back to the people that need it for their cancer. And we started with $500. We increased it to $750 and now it's $1,000. And that's because of all the people in the Valley and everybody that's helped with the cancer. If someone, cancer is very private, so if someone finds out that a friend or someone needs help or just has cancer, they contact us or let us know. And mainly because it isn't a huge amount or it's not a continuing amount, sometimes we do help them 2 times. It's for groceries back and forth to Grand Junction for treatments. Anything that they need it for. In other words, we just give them a check for cash. I mean, a check and they go to the bank and cash it and they can use it whenever they want to. So she was my first inspiration to start it, and my second was Dean Walk. I met him through Sylvia, and he and I just hit it off and talked about a lot of things. He had a lot of good ideas. And I had talked to the neighbor down the road, Andy Escaraga, and he said that he would like to help. So we asked him to donate a pig. And he donated us a live pig to give away. Not the live pig, but the right for the live pig would be within a year they can win, or within a year they can take the pig to the processor. And I went to the processor and got that paid for too. So if you go to the 4th of July celebration, there's a raffle for a pig raffle. And so it's 1 for 3, 2 for 5. And dollars, and so they buy tickets and then we have a drawing at halftime. And I start selling tickets early in the spring. So we usually, and then the person that's name is drawn by a child in the audience, and then they can call within a year to get that pig processed. Andy keeps it, and they call and say, yes, we're ready, we're gonna have it for Thanksgiving. Then they process it for free. So that's a big hit. We usually make between $1,500 and $2,000. That's a really good fundraiser for a small valley. But you have to keep in mind it's at the rodeo, so there's people from all over at the rodeo. And then so Dean helped me mainly with we called it Pork for Pink. And he went in the parade with me down Main Street on 4th of July and everything. And then the third inspiration was certainly Delaney, from Rick and Susie Smith granddaughter. And she was a great inspiration to us. And Grumpy, her grandfather, donated the pink fire truck for us to use every 4th of July or every event wherever we were. And we had it at the butterfly event and everything so people could sign. And so that was very good. So in 2014, we had a walk and a run at the rodeo grounds at the 4th of July. And then we added the butterfly release. And with that, we also added the military program. And we had the mayor's speak and a little program. And we usually had it at the memorial here and then going to the auditorium. But we're having it at the church until everything's ready. And then we have a booth at the 4th of July also. And so then after that, I had, when we were in Cali, we did a thing called blocking. So, it's pink flamingos and you are home and we come and we fill your yard with pink flamingos. And then you have to pay to have them removed. You don't have to, but we asked, or make a letter so they could make a donation. So that's very successful. It just depends. Now we've about blocked everybody and I don't know how many times I want to do that every year or what, you know. But, so then, you know, I run the cancer fund, or we run the cancer fund. It's by the people for the people. So basically, we put in for the grants because it's a big help. It's a big help in your bank account. The people are very giving. They give. Everything that we do. Like for instance, we're getting ready to do the butterfly event. Everything that you see there. The tent donated by Caleb Julius, the chairs donated by the Congregational Church, the tables by the town. Everything you see there and all the food is donated by somebody that wants to help out. So our expenses are very low. You know, the biggest expense we have is our insurance. Because we go down Main Street and we're at the rodeo and the butterfly release, we have to have liability insurance. And it's skyrocketing. It's getting way, way, way out of hand. It started out like it was $1,500. And then now last year it was 22. And this year it's gonna be 3,000 for the liability. So that's a big burden on the money that the people give to get back for the cancer. But that's another reason that I applied for the extra funds. And do you have any questions?
About how many people do you serve in a year?
In a year, it would be hard to give you a figure because it depends on what's going on. And there are a few new people in town. Altogether, in the years that we've done 84 people, and some of them twice. So, and right now, we just helped 3 new people within the last 2 months. So I did have, I do have a question that maybe you can help me. The cancer fund, when I did 501c3, we put residents of Collbran. So are you a resident when you move in and unpack? Or are you a resident, you know, coming here with cancer, or you a resident after you've been here a year? I'm thinking about either changing that, or do you think I should have a restriction on it?
You don't restrict it just to Collbran residents, do you?
No, Platte Valley.
Oh, Platte Valley. Okay,
Platte Valley
okay.
and Mesa.
Mhm.
So, but now, you know, things have changed in the last few years because we have new people. I mean, and then some of them are relatives of people that live here that are gonna live here with them. So it's kind of hard to, and I don't wanna pick and choose because anything I do in public or anything we do, it certainly reflects on the cancer fund. And maybe then the cancer fund would be not because people would quit donating.
I think that's a question for your board.
Yeah.
And I know it's a really hard question to answer.
Do you have any thoughts on it though?
You know, in order to vote on an upcoming election, you have to be here 30 days, so I had to stop.
Well, then,
But I mean,
that's something to consider.
but it's also if I moved my mother with cancer into my house, it'd be a financial burden on my household too, so I
Right.
don't know that it should be restricted at all if it's somebody in our
And
family.
then just by maybe the board making decisions,
Mhm.
kind of hard to do. But,
Good luck with that.
yeah, so that's one question that, I would have that, you know. And otherwise, I think everything we do a volleyball day at volleyball at the school, and we raised a lot of money last year. All the things that were given that were raffled off were given. And fund didn't have any money in it again. And it's because of the pay it forward, and then the 4th of July and the blocking and the butterfly release, and then, you know, during the parade, we do the 4th of July. 4th of July, we don't. Actually, at the booth, we only sell popcorn. But everybody loves popcorn, and I take the little kids and the little 4-H kids, and they go into the stand and sell popcorn. And last year, we sold in 3 days, a 50-pound bag of popcorn. I mean, that I popped. So it was really good. And the little kids taking it out, and then when they come and they see what it's for, they donate more than $1, because it's $1.
Well, George, yeah, it's a great program, the Cancer Fund. I know a lot of people who have benefited by it, and it's a very kind and compassionate thing that you do and the people that work with you. So, you know, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I certainly don't have any problem with helping you out from the discretionary funds that we have to help your program. It's a very worthwhile community, you know, oriented program. And
Right.
as we know, cancer affects everybody one way or the other, sooner or later. So it has you, it has me. I'm sure a lot of people in this room have been affected by it. So
Yeah.
to raise the recognition and awareness that you do speaks volumes. I appreciate your effort and everybody else's effort.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you, everyone for donating, for advertising, for whatever comes up. And I'm always interested in problems. I mean, like people have a problem. I wish they'd come right to me, so, and the board, so we could solve it right away. Instead of having, but we have, yeah.
Do you invite the back to come up since you service that area, or?
We do. And, oh, you mean for, for cancer health? You know, I never have put it in the paper, but we do go to the school and we have flyers for events that we put around at the back and in Grand Junction. People that shop there, you know, from the back and everything. But maybe that's a good idea too, that I could go to, put it in the paper maybe. Do they have a paper?
I don't know if they do.
I put it in Rachel's paper.
Have you been to their town meeting as well as ours?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. So, well.
I was just saying,
That's okay.
I was kind of a surprise to me. You said you service that area as well, which is great, but.
Or do you just go to the top of the hill?
The top of the hill.
Oh, to the
Because
top.
it's flat,
Yeah,
but we could extend it, but that's a big undertaking, that's a lot more than we have in the bank. No, I mean, that's a lot, more people, more in and out, in a bigger school,
right,
so.
right.
Thank you, Joyce, for your presentation, for everything that. For the
Thank you.
community.
Thank you.
Hey, Collbran,
That's a spreadsheet, never even recorded.
okay. So can we hear from the Lions Club?
Again, the man is not gonna come. Thank you for always considering the Collbran Lions Club with your discretionary funds. I brought just the rundown kind of what we've done for 65 years in the valley. Our fundraisers have become less. We've ended up now, we do the Halloween chili supper in conjunction with the trunk or treat. This year it didn't work out that great because of the auditorium, but we know that's going to come about. We fundraise with the Mesa Music Summer program that they have over there. We serve hot dogs and all of the fixings that go with it. It's a pretty big hit. And then we have our annual raffle that we do. That's been ongoing. The monies that we do earn and that we're given as donations, we have many places that it goes out to. Lions Club is an international organization. Here locally, we supply eye exams and eyeglasses as needed, usually referenced to us from the nurse at the school. We have the Kids Site, which is a state program, Kids Site eye screening that we do every year at the school for preschoolers and kindergartners. At the school, we have ongoing, I think we're on our second generation of the I Like Me books that we give out that are personalized for each kindergartner. We give out an annual high school scholarship there at the school. We donate to Hope West Hospice. That's one of our budget items every year. We give out Christmas food and gift boxes in the community. We host the Cowboy Christmas dinner every year. Statewide, we sponsor the Colorado Lions Camp, the Rocky Mountain Lions Eye Bank, which is over at CU Boulder, which we're so fortunate to have in our state. And then also the Rocky Mountain Lions Eye Institute, which is also at CU Boulder, and the Colorado Lions Foundation, which reaches out to the leader dogs, the seeing eye dogs. And so that's our organization. And like I say, we've been here for 65 continuous years and proud of it. And thank you for always considering us. I don't know if anybody would put this in a file or. If you hand it to me, I can put it in the file. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you to that.
Any questions? Yeah.
Okay, we have a Collbran Congregational Church, United Church of Christ.
Good evening. My name is Sveto Jokic, and I'm the Safety Committee Chair of the Collbran Congregational Church. And I would like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. On behalf of the church, I'm here to request $2,000 from the discretionary funds to be distributed in order for the church to be able to purchase an AED, in other words, an automated external defibrillator, with all the necessary accessories such as extra child and adult pads, wall sign, wall cabinet, and wall bracket. The AED would be installed downstairs in the dining room, which is also next to the 4-H meeting room. Many community organizations and groups utilize the church facilities. Lions Club, Powder Valley Cattle Women, 4-H, Friends of the Library Programs and Events, Senior Tea, baptisms, weddings, funeral services, luncheons following funeral services, birthday and graduation parties in the dining room, farmers market in Mother's Park, 4th of July activities in Mother's Park, Platte Valley Cancer Society butterfly release in Mother's Park, and public meetings such as, just an example, the ditch company meetings. Also, children and families use the Mother's Park for parties and picnics, and children enjoy the playground equipment. The church believes that with so many people utilizing church facilities year-round, it would be prudent to have an AED available for whomever might need medical support during cardiac arrest in an emergency. Finally, thank you for considering our request for an AED, which would benefit all who utilize the church building and grounds.
Thank you. I know that that facility is used quite a bit by a lot of organizations in the community, and it's a great location for everybody as well, and appreciate everything that the church provides for the community.
Any other questions?
The gym still gets used?
Sorry, could you speak up a little?
Is the gymnasium or the basketball area still get used upstairs?
It's being utilized by and rented now by Platte Valley Tumblers.
Oh, the gymnastics for the.
Yeah,
for
the
little-
gymnastics group, right?
Okay, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Plateau Valley Friends of the Library.
Leave. I have a few things that you guys might be interested in. Take a minute on getting organized here. Beginning to do. Take one and pass it on, we'll think about the list and Plateau Valley Friends, the one, the parent career runs. Technical, the Plateau Valley Friends will have to go. We got to try to support our kind of living memory project. And after kind of $450. Specifically, what we're asking for. Sorry. Specifically, what we're asking for is support, promote the project. So that we can have events throughout the year to promote our kind of living memory. And what that's about is history, myth, and memories of people throughout the valley over a long period of time. And part of that project was already completed with having the Plateau Valley Voice, another Plateau Valley, old Plateau Valley newspapers, scanned and digitized, put on the web for anyone to be able to use. We received these old newspapers, and these were prints I made today, PDF, downloaded off the internet from the Colorado State newspaper company. And just so you know what it's like to have an old newspaper in your hand, that's as close as we're gonna get. Anyway, to give you an example of what I'm talking about with the archive of living memory, the larger sheet that I brought you, a bit of mythology about a man named, everyone knew him as Charlie O. I'm not sure if his real name was Charlie or not, but we'll go with it. Charlie Owens was a
one of the first European settlers who came into Plateau Valley. Probably sometime after 1878, no one is real sure. So what it amounts to is that Charlie Owens is a myth. His name is on Owens Creek, along with names of lots of other things in map. This is a USGS map of High Tower Mountain quadrangle. Charlie Owens' name is on Owens. It's named after him because the old stories were that his pack was found there after he disappeared. The story that others have told is that it wasn't really a disappearance. He was murdered at old Middleton Cabins. Middleton was named after, obviously, someone named Middleton. And he was burnt in the fireplace. The soldiers that came through with the Meeker affair said they could smell burning flesh. And they knew that it was human burning flesh because, of course, soldiers die at battle and sometimes you have to do something with the bodies. And they cremated a lot of their own, so they knew what they were talking about. At any rate, Owens Creek, and another interesting part of Owens is that when his name was on Owens Creek, we have another article in the Plateau Valley Voice newspaper. I'll read it to you, it's real short. Saturday, Mrs. Mary Castle accompanied her mother, Mrs. Van Etten, her daughter Audrey, Mrs. Dean, and Mildred Richards packed a fried chicken dinner completed with all the fixings into their car and drove to the Owens Creek Punch Ground, where they served 13 cowboys picnic out of the Head Castle birthday. There were 1,000 head of cattle in the drive, but the boys all stopped to remove the chicken. So, well, that's probably not mythology. It's still interesting. That was October 1st, 1932. And the reason I've got another reason to bring that up is that a man named Walt Carmichael was one of the cowboys on the Buzzard Range. And he was likely there for that picnic. Walt Carmichael, another character who outgrew his life and became a myth also. One of the things I always heard when I was a kid about Walt Carmichael was he rode his horse into town and loudly proclaimed, "Mother, get your daughters in. Cowboys in town and troubles expected." So here's the character. So we've got to appreciate the myths and the characters in our life, and we want to have an event sometime this summer. Hopefully we can talk you guys into letting us be the first event after the auditorium is finished. We want to put up displays about these characters and celebrate the opening of the auditorium. And on top of that, we're asking for a little funding so we can do those sorts of things, events about this project throughout the year. And
So I know they have a lot of great programs at the library now, especially for the younger children and everything.
Sure.
So is it from the library, did they sponsor some of those activities, or is that all the major county library?
well, Mesa County, or the Plateau Valley Friends of the Library, supports the literacy programs, including supporting the Collbran Branch Library and the Mesa County Public Library in all its various. Yes, I know the answer is yes.
Okay, all right, that's good. Yeah. That's why I was just wondering, because I know I see things on the community connections when it seems like there's a lot of great programs, especially For the summer reading program, we try to support that through funding some of the prizes kids get and making sure the kids get books when they need them. We give away free books to kids every chance we get. We used to sell them, but we found out it was a whole lot nicer to just give them to kids. And nothing is more fun than that. When we have a book sale in the summer. A couple of years ago, there was a little girl and she selected her free book. And her dad just wanted the little girl to tell us thanks. But she thought that he was going to take the book from her. And she ran away as fast as she could. And of course, he caught up with her. And she sat on the book. Sat on the book. She was not going to get that book up. That was her book. So we get a lot of enjoyment out of giving kids. I think organizations like yours and the Preservation Society, I mean, we need those kind of programs to educate people about the valley, and also like in the library program, because kids need to still have that orientation with the book, you know, as opposed to everything that's electronic. So anything we could do to support that is great. Plateau Valley Friends of the Library is about literacy. And literacy is a big umbrella, let's put it that way. You cover a lot of territory, whether it's literacy about books, printed matter of any kind, or finding out how to access those things, whether it's through the library here in Collbran, or through the Mason County Public Library, through the State Library, or through the Denver Public Library, the Library of Congress. We try to make sure that people understand how to access those things and what they can find there. And that was part of our motivation for putting the newspapers on digitized on the internet, and we can have that.
So can you give us a little more detail on your Archive of Living Memory project? That's what this $1,250 ask is for.
Well, the ask is for support for publicizing and getting people to buy into this project. The Archive of Living Memory is preserving the things that we have that are necessarily historical, because most of it's in the past. But it's the how do you put it? It's the culture of Plateau Valley, whether it's yesterday's culture or something that happened 120 years ago. We want to collect photographs, articles, writings, people's memories, and make those available to people to be able to better understand where we live, what our culture is.
And how is this different from what the Historical Society does?
How is it different? It is different by the fact that we have access to a lot of those resources that make it so that we can produce a collection of things, of memories that aren't historical, that are more, the historical society is more likely to be about factual history. We don't mind having lies and myths and other things that go on that aren't precisely what you would call hard history. It's like the story about, why I brought up the story about Charlie Owens, because we haven't got any real hard evidence about Charlie Owens. We don't even know if he really existed. There were people who had stories about him. The closest connection you have is Charlie, another Charlie. I'm sorry, I won't remember his last name. Anyway, Charlie Hughes. Charlie Hughes was a friend of Owens. And Hughes was searching for what happened to Owens. He found his rifle in Littleton Creek. And he kept that rifle and used it the rest of his life. And he told, in the newspaper article that I have, he told, hey, Mr. Gunderson, I assume it was probably the person we always called when I was with blind man Jones. And that would have been, Susie Gunderson, if you're familiar with who I'm talking about, that would have been her grandfather. Anyway, Charlie Owens told Gunderson the story the way he saw it, and he thought that Mr. Woods, or what was it? I'm sorry, I have to look at my, the guy that was at the Middleton cabin, he told him that Charlie thought that man murdered Charlie. Gunderson passed that on to Jesse Snipes. Jesse Snipes, when they right up in Plateau Valley Voice about Jesse Snipes relating that story. So this isn't hard history. This is a myth. We don't know anything. Jesse Snipes said that he found Charlie Owens' campsite up near Owens Creek. There were other people who said they found his belongings farther up there. None of it is documented fact. So that part is probably the biggest distinction between what we're talking about with our kind of living history.
Thank
I
you.
mean, what I said tonight is probably the kind of stuff we're talking about. What's written in the larger piece I give you is not fact. I want to be a bunch of it, not fact. It's based on mythology. But
kind of like some of the gold mines, and I have heard that they used to herd turkeys across the Quebec cutoff down to Quebec to get to the railroad.
well, could be, but who knows? I don't have any evidence of that.
Yeah, I don't.
It'd be nice, it would be fun to see how they herded turkeys that close. So, good.
It's actually pretty easy. My daughter has 28 chickens, and she started talking to them, and they'll just follow her over around 24 acres, just like the little kids.
I guess that would be the way to do it.
So,
Thank you, Danny, for your passion and your dedication.
yeah, all that you do at the library,
Well, thank you.
a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Great job on the door and everything.
So do you have another ask?
What's that?
You have another request?
Another request.
Yeah, there's two forms, one for,
Well,
yeah.
I was led to believe that the other request was going to be, if it happened, would be taken care of by another way. So I thought that application had been completely pulled from the record. So, which is, yes, we did have another thing we discussed, but I didn't come prepared to ask for that because I thought it was already.
One for the door, the interior door.
What's
Was
that?
it for the interior door
Yeah,
and the window? Okay, yeah, we still have that and it's in the budget, so.
if it's in the budget, that's just to explain just a little bit. The interior door is suffered some damage because somebody left their dog between, in the airlock between the entry door and theirs. It's, the damage is old. It looks kind of shabby compared to the new. Is it absolutely necessary? I don't know. And the rear door has a single pane wire glass. And it needs to be double pane to keep ice from forming on that glass in wintertime, dripping water down, freezing the door shut. Somebody else, so there's only one viable exit.
Yeah,
And so it needs to happen.
So is the
Yes.
1,200 covering the interior door and the back door? Yes, sort of.
Well, you're asking me a question that I hadn't been digging in already.
Okay.
Because I didn't remember how much we asked for when I filled out the paper.
Okay.
If that's what it said, it's 1,200. That was to cover everything. Now, what you have to understand is that that's just material.
right.
And nobody's charging for the installation on those things or the construction cost. And part of the way you get away with that is, of course,
some of us donate our time. The other is that when it comes to working on the library, we have a few guys who work for the town, the maintenance guys, that are really happy to help out. And so, yes, that's gonna kind of cost the town some money to pay those guys to do it, but they're working for you anyway, and I haven't got a problem with that. But $1,200, if that's what it said, yes. That's to cover the materials and whatever incidentals that come along and we can go with.
Seemed like you worked well together this summer,
Well, yeah,
looks good.
well, I've received a lot of good feedback about
You
it,
bet.
and we're happy about it. And when you drive by, looks like somebody cares.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all the town's help, because we wouldn't have been able to, and of course, the town owns the building, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without the town cooperation. We definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a safety hazard, that backflow and the
Well,
frozen shut, whether it's fire. or-
just to finish up about the front door. The big thing that made us want to change the front door, other than the other door was getting a lot of wear and tear on it. And the threshold was difficult for anybody to get across who had any kind of mobility challenge. Someone wanted to go into the library who was young and was moving a baby stroller, would always have trouble getting across that whole threshold. That's not a problem anymore. Older people like Nancy Carlson and Carl Schmidt, who were both part of the Putnam Valley Friends of the Library, had difficulty getting over that threshold. No, we don't have that problem anymore. It's not a safety hazard. It's not a liability for everybody involved. So. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Plateau Valley Historical Preservation Society.
He told the story.
I'm Sylvia Spangler, and I'm the president of the Plateau Valley Historical Society. I've been here before and asked for discretionary funds. And our goal has always been to preserve the history of Plateau Valley. Not just Collbran, but Plateau Valley. And every one of those organizations that are there, we have helped or been part of in the last 10 years, but always prior to that, there was a history committee, and 10 years ago, we organized as a 501, and we have our office at the Forest Service building up the street. We're asking for $500 to continue our publications and storage of history. And we've worked with the Friends of the Library. We have a set of obituary books at the library. They go back to, some of them go back to the 1800s. We have worked, most of our collection has been donated to us, as well as we've received donations. That's what we survive on. And 3 years ago, we lost one of our historians that helped start the organization with Annis Kelly. And her family donated a lot of her history that she had collected over the past years to the Historical Society. And this coming winter, we're hoping to take the piles, and I do mean we have piles of history, and they involve all of these groups here, and digitize them, get them into a more usable, we'll keep the originals, but we'll get them into a usable electronic device so they can be accessed easier. We use those funds that we help with the cancer fund, we help with the 4-H, we help with the Lions Club. All of these are the history of this valley. And we believe in all of the history of this valley. There was some pretty tough, strong people that built this valley. And we want to honor them. And there are about 6 self-published books, and we're working on a couple more right now. And the funds that we get and have gotten in the past from the town have gone for that. We did calendars. Several years we did calendars. We did a calendar of the schools. We did calendars of farm equipment and ranch equipment. This book was published, and you can see these in all a lot of bookstores, Barnes and Noble carry them. There's a picture in the front page. Great. We also helped when they put the windows with pictures of the windows. That picture over there was gathered by members of our historical society. We funded and helped with the kiosk down at the Falls, not really a kiosk, the pictures at the mouth of the canyon. This was one of our first self-published books, and it has the pictures of Collbran. It has the pictures of the schools, the old schools, and getting right. All of these, the history that's here are stories, and it was some strong, independent people that built this town, but also this Platte Valley community. And so I don't know any place I'd rather live. I don't know about the rest, so I'm gonna live here. And I'm sure you've seen this. This was published in 1970 by Helen Hawkers, Young, and we use this probably daily. She spent a lot of time and a lot of work putting it together, and we've had it reprinted 4 times. When Donna passed away, she had I think, I don't know, several boxes of these. And after auction, at Donna's auction, her sister-in-law, Dorothy, had these boxes for sale. Well, I'm such a sucker for history, I couldn't pass them up, so I bought them. And we sold them at the flower shop, and the money was one of the funders that helped start the Historical Society, and we're still reprinting it. And no matter, we sell books in Mesa at Color Sunday, we sell books at the Bloom, and we have sold books here. And you can come to the Sim at any time, and if you can get over boxes and the piles of history. And I do have to say that it's been a good help to us, because we have a permit to use the building, and other than the utility, that's what it costs us to do that. So the money that we're asking for is to get some electronic devices and some better ways to digitally store. I am, I thank you for doing.
It's a great organization.
Some of your, some of the books down there, are those from you?
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
historical
I
society,
think you had people.
can a person?
And there's more in here that we've helped put together and,
Do you have a website?
pardon?
Do you have a website we can order these things through?
Yeah, we had a website, we have a,
Facebook.
yeah, we have a couple of ways to get a hold of it. And, I am not real computer literate. So thanks to some of our board of directors and like to Emma in the past, she was the one that did most of the electronic.
At this time, we just have a Facebook page. There is no website, but you can certainly contact somebody and ask.
Yeah, and many people will stop by. And that's why we're trying to get this so we can coordinate it. But many people stop by on Tuesday or Friday and they'll, my son's a friend or my father or my grandfather is buried in such and such and we do have lots of research material.
Those are the days that you're open, is Tuesdays and Thursdays? You're open Tuesdays and Thursdays up
We're open Tuesdays and Friday,
Friday mornings?
yes. General, let me say that. We have a small, we have no paid staff, it's all volunteers and we're all older. And,
Other times by appointment.
yeah. And, there's family in our book comes first. That's my story and I'm sticking to it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the Plateau Valley Youth Activities Association.
That is us. Jackie Bevan and Melissa Hood. And, we started our program just coaching our own kids, basically wanting the kids in the valley to be able to practice up here. And then we've been taking our teams down to compete. We started in 2022 and then in 2024, just due to the pressures, I guess, of trying to get all the kids serviced. We started a 501c3, so we are a nonprofit at this point. However, we do pretty much most of the volunteering, no paid positions. We try to offer most of the elementary kids, because the school does not have a program for them, opportunities to play different sports. Our first was basketball through the Grand Junction Rec League, and then it went to baseball, and it has expanded now to volleyball for the girls and basketball for the girls. So we recently joined the CRV League, which is the Colorado River Valley League down in like Quebec, Wrightville, Parachute, Silton, Newcastle. We play down there. We're welcome down there, which is a little different than the Palisade and Grand Junction leagues are. We match up a little better over there and have had great success. Jackie and I have started attending those town meetings. Their recreation departments get together and coordinate all the sports. So Jackie and I have started attending those. Since we submitted our application for general funding to expand our program, it has come to our attention that the #1 need for our association right now is liability insurance. Due to the fact that Collbran does not have a recreation department and we are not attached to the school, our youth are not covered with any liability insurance. And we have hosted up here. It's a little hard this year with the gyms being in the school under construction. But it is a it's not a want, it's a need that will have to come out of our pocket and charging our participants more per sport. When we charge, we try to keep it the same as the other towns in the league, for signups. We, however, are providing really nice uniforms for our kids where they just give a t-shirt to the kids. We started doing the uniforms so that it brings more attention to those kids playing and makes our athletic program bigger. The kids are all allowed to keep their full uniforms, which is awesome. They all wear them all the time.
Yeah, if you ever go down to the school, like on Thursdays, usually most of the kids have them on.
Yeah, they love it. And it's great advertisement to get more kids involved. So we try very hard to match what they're doing or keep it less than what other towns are doing. However, in taking on liability insurance, it will incur between $1,500 and $3,000 is our quote right now. And which means that we would then have to start charging every participant more to cover that cost, and or it will come out of our pocket. I think in 2022, we started with 34 kids signing up for our programs. Already in 2025, we are at 38, and it doesn't include the 28 that have already signed up for baseball, and it has not started yet. So,
And we'll have girls volleyball and girls basketball this year too.
Yeah.
So I think our numbers are, as you can see, I mean, 34 to 51 to 53. And we're already at 64 now. So, yeah, they're just going up. And we only service K through 6 really. Those are the kind of the age groups we service. And we talked to the school today, and there's 125 kids in the elementary. So we're already servicing about a third of them.
Where do you do the baseball for those kids?
well, this year we're very excited because we have been at Palisade and Palisade and Grand Junction teams would not travel up here. They said that our field did not have insurance coverage through their little league. And due to multiple issues, we moved our baseball this year to CRB, and we will be able to host games up here, and their CRB safety inspector is going to come inspect our town field so that it is covered.
Up at Gandy Park?
Yep,
I remember T-ball and a backboard and everything just up here at Terrell Park. There was bases and we had.
No, it's up at Candy now.
yep.
Right.
Last year, we actually had like an opening day here for the kids, and they just played against each other. Because we had two minor teams, so two of the same age kids, so. Most of our programs besides, actually all of them now, are all composed of Plateau Valley kids. And we try to keep the practices here, and then we just travel to the games. Versus like when we first started this, we were having to put kids on teams down there. And so parents were having to travel down there for practice, travel down there for games as well. And now it's all the kids from this community on one team, and us representing Plateau Valley with whatever league we decide to go to.
Do some of the parents help out with the coaching?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they're volunteer.
everybody's volunteers on this.
Yeah.
Please pay.
Yeah,
But yeah, we do have a lot of parental support,
We really
community
do.
support.
Yep.
So your request is one of them. Your request is, but it is a range. What would you really like to get? We would really like to get probably 1,500 to 2,000 to cover the insurance. I don't remember what we put on our application, something under 2,000. Okay. Yeah. So like we said, our needs have kind of changed since then, since we found out about this liability. So really at this point, any help would be good to help get us that liability insurance. As most of the towns, surrounding towns have a rec program that's ran through the town, through the city. We're just two moms that try to pull this off, and it's just growing. So, I mean, obviously in the future, I think our goal is to maybe work with the town or work with and get a rec program going again. I've heard there has been rec programs here. I don't know that for sure, but that's a future conversation, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited I see on Community Connection, you talk about the programs and you advertise them, and it's great. I mean, as a former coach at Plateau Valley, the sooner you can get the kids involved.
Yeah.
And develop those skills and the sense of sportsmanship and team building and everything. It's a great thing that you do. And glad to see somebody take the initiative and.
Thank you.
Hopefully you get lots of help from everybody in the community.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I hear some, parents that wanna get their kids started in wrestling.
Yeah,
So I know at one time the school had wrestling mats down there, but
Yeah.
right now the closest is Debec.
Yeah.
Some of our little kids who have been going down to Debec to
to the
play.
Pee Wee wrestling. Yeah.
They have a pretty good program down there. So
But if we had a coach, they're welcome to
if we had some math.
get, some math. All the things.
Yeah, I talked to the Clark family, they've been trying.
Yeah, I think they've been trying to, I talked to them at one point, they were trying, we were definitely like willing to help them.
Yeah, yep. They just need a place and mats, that's all they,
Yeah.
I think that's, like Jackie and I have tried really hard to get our kids also involved in the community. We've entered in the parades and did the selfie Christmas booth station and we also helped kick off the Plateau Valley junior high football team, and we're really trying to make it a community involved association, not just Jackie and I, because honestly, we also have real jobs. So, and we go down to the rec meetings and they're like, we have to hire an assistant. We're like, so
Well, thank you for all that you're doing with our kids.
Yeah. That's great.
it's our pleasure.
I don't know if any of the mats that are used over at the church for the gymnastics could be used for a Pee Wee. Are
Yes.
they? Okay. Cause I don't know, Laura and Leigh had talked about it at one point, and I coached for years when I was younger, but. And then when we raised our kids in Jackson, for our kids to be involved in soccer and stuff, we had to coach.
Yeah, yes.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're all grown up now. Doug and his wife, the CEO of Instrons, it was their kids were on there several of them. It was a lot of fun.
That's
A
fun.
lot of good money.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Plateau Valley FFA chapter.
Thanks for having us tonight. For those of you, I can't even say that. I know all of you. My name's Ruth. I teach agriculture education at the high school, and I get the privilege of working with a lot of amazing teenagers in the valley to learn agriculture education and do activities through FFA. And so this particular grant Haley is going to tell you about, but it's been kind of a long-standing service project. I view it as a collaboration between us and the town of Collbran. As a way for us to refine our horticulture skills and also beautify the Main Street area. So I'll let her share the details with you, and we'll be available for whatever questions you have. So, Haley.
Hi, I'm Haley. I'm the president of the FFA chapter. And basically this grant will just kind of, basically what the grant is where we take, you guys would give us like $1,000 and then we would buy plugs with the money. And then we would, our horticulture class, which Ms. Shepherdson teaches, she would grow the plants or mature the plants, I guess, and go and plant them out on main streets with kids' help, on Main Street with the kids' help. And it just promotes more community, I think, and it teaches a lot of kids responsibility and also just kind of beautifies the town of Collbran, makes it pretty. And a lot of people like to go and pick the tomatoes off Main Street. It's lots of fun. And we will split the grant into two chunks, so 800 would go to just buying the plugs. And the plugs are basically just little baby plants that we buy and then we mature to plant on Main Street. And it's we can plant 3 times more than if we started from a seed, because they're difficult plants to grow. So 800 of that will go there. And then the 200 will go to the annual FFA banquet. And as well, we'll pay for ice cream for the kids who help plant the plants on Main Street. And yeah.
You know, it's great. I think, you know, I've seen you on the street planting, putting the plants and they look beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
I think it really does beautify the town. And it's great to see the young people. I mean, I think if people drive up and down Main Street and see you out there planting or making that contribution, I think it speaks volumes for the community and for the school. And I know the FFA program is great. You know, this is a great program.
Yes.
You know, and you've done some very good things. So, you know, I'm for it.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
Do you guys have any other questions?
I don't.
I love the combination. I was gonna say, it is worth a conversation about if this does get approved. Do you guys like what's been done in the past? And then I also wanted to let you know about the tulip bulbs. So we stumbled across an opportunity to buy tulip bulbs bulk from the Colorado State University Experimental Gardens. And my son was living at Fort Collins at the time. And when they take out their experimental gardens where they've like tested new varieties, they do a 1-day flash sale, and it's something like 20 bulbs for $5. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna send you $100. Go talk them into this. That was the limit. Well, then they got in line and he talked him into selling him 4 times as many because it was for FFA. So he came home with 400 tulip bulbs. It's been so fun. So you'll see this year, just as an experiment, we planted about 10 or 12 bulbs in each one deeper. The idea being that maybe we can have 2 crops out of each of the ground planters. So we'll have a spring crop of tulips, and then we'll go in. Usually we have to wait till right after Mother's Day to miss all the freezes. And if we're lucky, it doesn't snow the day we plant. That's kind of some Murphy's Law. But then we'll cut all that tulip green stuff off and plant plants on top of them. We're hoping we can just leave them in there all year, and then they can get their cold flash and continue to grow. Good deer fodder. Good deer fodder. Deer love tulips, but also I do. So we thought it was worth a try since we got school.
It'll work. This is tougher that had our home before us planted some, brought some down from the ranch. When the walk spot bought it from them. Anyway, they still come up every year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, tulips are pretty hardy, and that's one of the reasons we thought that would be a worthy experiment. We got them cheap and they're pretty tough, and we didn't plant quite as many at the 2 ends of town. Definitely those planters get more deer traffic than the ones here on Main Street because it stays a little busier. So I think that's we try and go a little bit more deer unfriendly plants on those 2 ends, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I think that the mix of plants that you guys have been using have been fun. And especially, you know, people wander around town, especially that aren't from here, and there's tomatoes. Can we take one? Sure.
Yeah, you know, we've even contemplated if it would be worth it to maybe put some little signs in there, you know, that says, please feel free to take the vegetables and cut some mint if you want, because it really only helps the climate to keep them going.
have a jalapeno or a habanero.
We actually tried those. The glorious thing about those planters is also a nemesis for peppers. So the planters that are on Main Street, part of the reason we have such good luck is they have those water reservoirs under them, and then they leach up.
So basically the plant gets water on demand, and everything that we planted in there has done great with it, with the exception of peppers. And we actually have a little bit of a hard time getting the tomatoes to ripen, because tomatoes have to kind of believe that maybe they're gonna die soon to go ahead and flower. And they have such great water availability that sometimes, I'm sure you remember one year we planted indeterminates instead of determinants, and they grew like trees because they just had so much water. So the times we've done peppers, we can get these glorious plants and they'll just never fruit because we can't get them to dry out enough without killing the flowers or whatever next to them.
I love them, I just can't eat them anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for all you guys do.
In the store, and you have the tomatoes, and say about the plants and take pictures.
But they really,
Yeah.
when we were, they were like, maybe we should call Terry, she's the one who could call our tomato. That would be lovely. It'll probably be, it's fine. Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Hope West?
Hi,
Yep.
can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, thank you so much for having me tonight. I apologize I'm not there in person. I had a prior commitment that I couldn't rearrange, but what an honor it's been just to hear so much wonderful work going on in your community. So thank you for having me tonight. I'm Jenny Neal. Many of you are probably going, where's Susie? I am the new Director of Community Outreach and Program Development. Many of you know, maybe you don't know, Susie moved on from Hope West last October. So I'm following up on a request that was made on behalf of Hope West to the town of Collbran for $3,000 from your discretionary fund. I understand that you are longtime supporters of Hope West, and specifically this is for our upcoming spring swing event. As you may know, Hope West is the only nonprofit hospice and palliative care provider on the Western Slope, and we've been honored to serve in Collbran, DeBeck areas since 1994. That's 31 years. On average, we serve between 14 and 18 patients a day in those areas. We have 55 wonderful volunteers in your area and just about 6 full-time employees. What questions do you have?
I know it's part of Hope West, but up at the caves, there's a gal that comes up 3 days a week. Are you familiar with Hazel and Delbert?
I am.
Okay. I mean, we're their neighbors, so we go down and my wife is the daughter that they never had because they had 5 boys. So
Oh, if only. I have 4 boys. I wish I knew the recipe. I don't know girls either, so I love it.
yeah, my sister had 6 boys, but anyway, what part of that is she through a different organization that comes through Hope West, or
Is that Carla that sees them?
no? Well, Carla Knapp does, but then there's a gal that comes up 3 days a week and is with Delbert part-time.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's handled through Medicare or.
I'm not sure if that's one of our team members or not. But you're right. We do have staff that are right there from that area that are serving your very neighborhood, your community. It's important to us while we're part of a bigger organization. As you know, our main office is in Grand Junction. I love that Hope West honors each community. And you guys, your community is unique. I serve in the Delta County area as well. And I love that the support, we get to keep it local. So one of the things I can't go without mentioning is any money that is donated, just like this request tonight, it remains in your area. It's not used for any other service, not even any other patient in any other area. I'm asked, why do you raise money? Don't you get paid by Medicare? That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked. We do get paid. However, it doesn't cover all of the service that we provide. When a patient admits to hospice, we sign on to care for them and their medication. We provide their medication. We provide all of their visits from our nurse, our CNA if they should wish, a social worker if they should wish, a chaplain, a physician if they should wish. It also covers bereavement services, which there is no payer source for bereavement services. And I was remiss, I didn't mention that Hope West Kids comes to Plateau Valley schools. And we have, between 5 and 10 kiddos who participate in that. You don't have to have a connection to Hope West to participate in our bereavement services. They are available to anybody in the community. Of course, we work with Job Corps. Anyways, I interrupted myself. Hospice care does include the durable medical equipment, so a bed, etc. So the list goes on and on of what it means to be supported by Hope West specifically. And so that's why we raise money, because the funds from Medicare just don't quite go far enough. Additionally, we care for any patient regardless of their ability to pay. So if we have a patient who maybe they're not quite Medicare eligible, maybe they don't have insurance, or they're not adequately insured, it doesn't matter, they still get the same service.
I think Hope West is a great program. They provide a lot of care for people, especially at very difficult times in their life, in the lives of their family.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they helped me when my wife was in her hospital situation, and did a great job. Very appreciative.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I came to work here at Hope West 13 years ago because I felt so strongly about the mission. I too had benefited from the care of Hope West for a loved one. So for me, it's personal.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you guys do for the community.
Thank you. And thanks for letting me learn about your wonderful town tonight. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you. Okay. Plateau Valley Heritage Days Rodeo Committee.
Everybody's here.
Doesn't look like.
So. Oh, yeah, I'm kind of surprised. She commutes from Rhine Falls, so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
How are you? Okay, see you in 5. Thanks. All right, she's almost to the school.
Would you like to skip ahead and do the resolution, of letter of support for the, there's building resilient infrastructure community? So I'll hear that presentation.
I'm Bruce Michaels, everybody knows me as Big Fight Guy. So I'm a Collbran Conservancy District, I'm manager, and we have a slide just below our canal. We run Vega Reservoir on the south side of the canal, so we do irrigation water from Vega clear to Mesa Creek. And in Parker Basin, we have a slide directly below our canal, which keeps threatening it. So we're going for a FEMA grant, and we have to be sponsored by Mesa County because we weren't involved in one of the things, so we're not available to apply, but Mesa County has agreed to apply for us. So we are just asking for a letter of support because we are going to, what we are planning right now is, it's a siphon, they call it a pressurized pipe system, but we're gonna go down below the slide and then come back up. It is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Parker Basin, but it's just past where it's Cecil Young, and then it's right in there. So that is the area we are doing. And we do exchange, we do Vega water, we do exchange water from the Mountains, water is donating, is committed $250,000 to go towards a match. If we get approved, we have to have a match up front. Because that's where they get to tell raise water for Jerry Creek. And if we can't deliver to Cottonwood Creek, they have to turn it down off the mountains. They won't be able to run the power plants as much. So we are just asking right now for a letter recommendation so we can apply for the grant.
Isn't Bruce, may you kind of give us the document in terms of what it is that we would consider recommending?
It's just for this project for the FEMA brick grant, which is building resilience infrastructure. So what you're recommending is for that pipeline or siphon. I call it pipeline. Technically, they call it pressurized pipe system. So what we are applying for is $3.2 million through FEMA. And then this will allow us, and that's for putting it, getting landowner access, everything to build that to where, because eventually that slide's going to get into our canal. We are about 50-60 feet from it now. So and every year it is moving. So this is, we are trying to, I came on board in 2022 and we've been trying to, it's taken longer to get through the federal system than I would like, but we are finally got a plan. We are in with your oops, but we are finally have a plan. We're just trying to get funding. So this is for the funding. This letter is to go towards FEMA to hopefully get us the grant.
Is there any water from Grove Creek that goes into it or?
No, we deliver water to Grove Creek. That's the spot.
It's just a letter of support.
Yeah.
There's no funding requested, it's just a letter of support tonight.
Okay, sorry. I misunderstood.
So, do we need-
So if you wanted to do a motion,
yeah.
then I could go ahead and print it and you can sign it. Bruce could take it with him tonight if you'd like, if you're.
I'd like to make a motion that we support the resolution 2025-004, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Collbran, Colorado, endorsing a letter of support for the application for the application submitted by Mesa County to the Federal Emergency Management Agency for funding from the Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities to modernize water delivery infrastructure in the Plateau Valley.
I second that.
Any further discussion? I just think it's water is gold, and the more efficient you can get it there, the farther it will go. May we have a vote, please?
Sure, trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Price. Yes. And Mayor Wolcott,
Yeah.
and I'll just print this up and you can sign it tonight, is that okay, or right now?
Absolutely, you bet.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Bruce.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce. Been messing with water for a while.
There's some kind of the.
You're right, yes.
You can go ahead while I'm doing it.
Okay. If you'd like to, then
All right, so you wanted to see Heritage of the Horse first, right? That was on the way the agenda is.
Yeah.
yes.
So. There's just a flyer. So, this is the first year that we've actually
requested any funding or sponsorship from the town. Heritage of the Horse is a versatility ranch horse series that we partnered with the rodeo committee to put on, and the proceeds, any proceeds above and beyond the production of the horse show goes back to the rodeo committee to put on the rodeo. It's a 3-series event. It's a buckle series. It's a versatility ranch horse, so it's ranch cutting, stock horse pleasure, trail, reining, cow work. If you're into that. I did put some pictures on the back. The interesting thing about this particular show is it really is not a local show. It brings in people from everywhere else. There aren't a lot of locals that actually participate, but we bring in a lot of people from elsewhere. They come from Montrose, they come from Gunnison, they come from Burns, they come from, I've even had people from the Eastern Slope show up. So you were bringing in new faces to the town, which is always good. We have been doing this for 10 years, maybe 7 years. And so we have quite a reputation. I already have people asking me and have been asking me for a month or so. When are your dates? When are your dates? When are your dates? I have to get them on the calendar so we can come. So it definitely has a good reputation. Any funding you would choose to give would be used for year-end prizes. Like I said, right now it's a buckle series, so champions receive a buckle, reserve champions receive whatever we choose. Most of the time, we've also done jackets and vests. It kind of depends on the year. We alternate. Eventually, I'd like to get it to where it's a saddle series, but we don't have the sponsorship for that yet. So it would be you would be a new sponsor. We do have other sponsors, like I said. We partner with Heritage Days. My husband and I sponsor. We have Wagner Agency, Granite Performance Horses, Racing in the Rockies. We have several different sponsors that do participate in that. And then the cost entry fees go also to that. So as far as the way it's funded, it pays for itself overall. Other than we would keeping those prizes to the high level that attracts those better competitors, then we do use a sponsorship for that. We give day prizes for each event, either fair-sized ribbons or medals or something like that, so that people who come are not just leaving empty-handed. And then we do the year-end awards. So that's kind of Heritage of a Horse in a nutshell. Any questions?
About how many participants do you have?
Ranges anywhere from 25 to 50. It kind of depends on what other shows are going on, how hot it is, and what's going on. I think the highest we've had was 2020. I had 55, I had 60 people show up. And so when you multiply 60 times 5 events, you're looking at 300 plus entries. So it's an all-day endeavor for sure. Each event or each show requires us 2 judges, one for the trail and one for the arena events. So that's another additional expense. We also have to rent cattle for cattle classes. So I have to lease 20 head at least each event for cutting and individual cow work. So those are kind of the expenses as well as the awards. Judges run approximately $200 to $300 depending on where they come from. And a lot of them are carded judges for like NRCHA and some of those. Some are open judges and some are more expensive carded judges.
I think this is a great event, bringing outside people into the town.
It does. It brings people that have never been here before. They've come, they've heard of Collbran, but they haven't come. And so we get a lot of people, like I said, from elsewhere. Again, it's not, I'd like to say it was a local event, but it really doesn't draw the local riders. They're more interested in Gymkhana type events, but it does draw people from a lot of other places. And now that there's a couple of horses in Grand Junction that are sanctioned by a group
on the eastern slope. That brings more and more competitors in as well. And so this gives them a chance. A lot of people will come to our shows and then go to World Show. Or they'll come to our show and go to State Fair, some of those type of competitors. So I try to schedule conveniently so that they can hit our smaller show. And then go to the bigger shows and use it kind of as practice. I try to keep the cost considerably lower than the average horse show so that I can draw people in. But then that also deters from the larger, bigger prizes that they want to. So, it was kind of a spur of the moment. Let's see if the town wants to get involved. Like I said, we haven't done it before. So this is the first time you would be sponsoring this event. If you choose to.
Does this fall on Sundays?
It does fall on Sundays. Sundays work out better for a lot of the competitors, and it also works out better for Justin, because he is my right-hand man, setting up trail course and running cattle and all of that, much to his chagrin. And Sundays work out better for him, so yes, we do them on Sundays. So any other questions?
Good.
Okay.
Really stays with the culture of the community. Like you said, it does bring a lot of people in because I don't know if I want a lot of exposure, but you know, it's good to come in and spend some money and enjoy.
Right, I mean, at least they're filling up their gas tank. Several of them stay at the hotel overnight, you know, they leave their horse at the rodeo grounds and then stay at the hotel, so that's bringing, and then eat at the restaurant, because they come in the night before, because we start early. So, you know, we're not bringing in a ton of revenue, but we're bringing in some, and, you know, it's not something major where everyone's gonna overthrow the town or anything like that, you know, it's not massive, but it certainly does get people to know that we're here and that we have nice restaurants. We have people who have thoroughly enjoyed Mountain High Pie. Usually we have one of the restaurants. We order lunch for anyone from one of the local restaurants. We try to pick so that people can get exposed to the local restaurants, and then a lot of them will order a pizza on the way out of town or stop for dinner before they leave if they're still open. Those kind of things. So we are bringing in, you know, sales revenue to local businesses.
It does keep Justin out of trouble, doesn't it?
You get it. I'll try.
He is his own man. You know Dustin, right? I can only do what I can do.
I appreciate everything that the two of you and all those others that help you to make this happen.
It is kind of a endeavor, but it's good. And like I said, we have a good reputation. We have a lot of people, like I said, they've been after me for at least since the 1st of December. What are your dates? What are your dates? I need to come on the calendar. So people look forward to coming here. You know, they like our rodeo grounds. We have a reputation for having a really hard trail course and obstacle course, and so people really like that. So yeah, it's a good thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Want me to go to the next one?
Next.
Might as well in here. So heritage days, I'm gonna say a rough draft of the brochures that are going out. We're at the pictures now, but I can give you the original. Sorry, they got wet in my water bottle.
I don't try.
It's like that.
Yeah, then there was something more like a booby trap.
It's a booby trap.
Yeah.
What's that?
And this was dropped by the other day too. I don't know if you wanted to officially present it. More than willing.
So obviously Heritage Days, the rodeo is really our piece of this, and what you have in front of you is our first piece of advertisement. You guys have been sponsored for several years now, and so on behalf of that, we would like to officially flat, thanking you. And I believe there was a bag that was there a bag? Was to drop the bag off? Okay, we did bags, but so we'll make sure you guys.
So we appreciate you guys always supporting us and being part of it. So the way we've done it in the past. We take on the rodeo piece and everything that happens at the rodeo grounds, the second, third, and fourth, and then the town has put on the street dance and the parade and the kids carnival and that piece, and then of course the firemen do the firemen's pancake breakfast, and then American Legion sometimes does the fish fry and whatever else we can get involved is ideal. Usually what your funds have gone to in the past is to pay for part of our sound guys who then come in and help do the parade as well. I have two gentlemen who run our sound. They bring in their own sound, so the sound guy runs all the music, all the sound, he brings in all the speakers and everything, so we have good sound over there, and then the announcer is obviously the announcer for the rodeo. They are a $6,000 package for each year, and we have them right now under a 3-year contract, so they will be here for a couple more years. We have thoroughly enjoyed them, they do an outstanding job. They love our town, but they are expensive. In rodeo, you get what you pay for. So if you're paying peanuts, you're gonna get peanuts, and we don't do peanuts. We do PRCA quality entertainers, PRCA quality contract staff. That is our goal. Heritage Days, the rodeo piece of it costs about $35,000 for us to put on, believe it or not. By the time we pay for all of the, like pay for Tonka and Jake for our sound, we pay for the stock contractor, we have one of the best contractors in the state. Insurance, rodeo insurance is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. All of our advertising, all of that stuff comes to about $38,000 a year. So we appreciate when you guys are able to put money towards Heritage Days. All of our sponsors, we can do it without sponsors. We don't make that much at the gate. We try to keep our gate price low. We haven't changed our gate price in probably 10 years. So that local families can come more than one night if they want to. And we keep it at about $12. Most rodeos are minimum 15, if not 20 or 25. We can make more at our gate, but then we're also eliminating some of our local families that just can't afford that. So we try really hard to keep the gate prices low. So therefore we rely a lot more on sponsorships because it's not going to pay for itself. There's just no way. So we do have a lot of sponsors, thank goodness. We have a lot of sponsors that are willing to step up. And so that's where we've come to you for the discretionary fund. Like I said, you guys have usually put money towards the sound. We can apply it wherever you would like to see it go and give you credit for that. If you want to put it somewhere else, that's just where it's been for the last several years, is gone towards the sound. So it's kind of your choice if you'd like to put it towards a specific event. We do have the various sponsorship opportunities here. Oh, these came out upside down. So you can fold them like they would actually be folded. You can see that these are our sponsorship levels that we have asked. You know, we send these out to about 350 different people and companies and all of that. They will go out probably the end of next week when we get them from the printers. So we could put you in any one of these areas. We can assign your money to whatever you would like for the town to have recognition for. And if you would like to change it up from helping to sponsor the sound guys, that's fine. I have no problem with that. We have a rodeo clown we pay for. You could put it towards him. You could put it towards a particular event. You could put it wherever you would like for us to say, sponsored by the town of Collbran. So however you would like to do that.
I think this is another important thing for us to contribute to, because it is a town event. As far as I'm concerned, just part of it, having it go towards the sound, we do benefit from that, because they help with the sound of the parade. So
right, and I think what they've done in the past is just charge minimal amount additional to set up for setup and bring in an additional set of speakers and stuff, but they have not charged the town very much.
Yeah.
Like, big fuel to get here. I think it's about what he charges.
But like I said, me as a board member, I don't care where I'm to, just wherever it's needed. But I think this is an important event for the town and certainly important for us to have. It's always nice to see the grandstands full. And so it does bring in, it brings in the community, but it brings in people. So there.
Sure, absolutely. We have a lot of people who come from a lot of different places. We have people who plan their vacation around Heritage Days that come specifically for Heritage Days. We've had people from Germany, we've had people from France, we've had people, who happen to be vacationing in Colorado, who've been in the stands, as well as all the locals who continually support it. So. Kind of what you would like to do with that. Any questions for that on Heritage Days as far as the discretionary?
I thought you were supposed to be on the agenda to talk about events for the event planning for did that not happen?
I thought I was, but it doesn't look like I'm on the agenda, so.
No, it doesn't. That's what we discussed at the last meeting.
It was certainly our intention that we would move into a discussion of the event.
So do you want to do that now, or?
I didn't know.
And then we can do that at the end, I can stay.
Yeah, I didn't know if you would want to do a motion on the discretionary funding, or if you wanted to put it off until March 4th. I know the groups are looking for their funding. So we do have a motion noticed for, well, I don't know if we have a motion notice, but you could certainly, since this was on the agenda, you could do a motion to award the discretionary funding.
As budgeted.
As budgeted, you could do them as lump sum amounts, or we could go through each one by one. It would just depend on whatever motion that you wanted to make. And then we could move into a discussion about events, because that falls within a different category of the budget, so it wouldn't need any specific motions.
I think you should just approve it as requested.
Yes.
The only thing is that the Friends of the Library said that they were not requesting the $1,200.
They were requesting it, but they thought it got bumped out, he said. But
Right,
he said he would still love to have that so that they can have 2 new doors.
right.
I thought there was,
And then.
So he was under the understanding that he could only request one. But we told him that both requests were in there and it was.
That'll cover the materials.
So let me find the library budget if you'll give me just a moment. His letter.
I guess I understood that he thought that that was coming from someplace else. And not discretionary funds.
So in the library budget, we do have $3,000 for repairs and maintenance. So that is, we can provide those materials as part of that library budget, repairs and maintenance. We could just direct Mike to do that.
So that's why he thought it was coming.
Yeah, so then he was talking about another place in the budget. That's, I believe, what the guidance he was given is that we would put it into the repairs and maintenance budget.
Okay.
So I do not believe we need to award $1,250 for that.
Well, one was $1,250, the other one was $1,200 door window.
Okay, let me pull that up then.
And then, on youth activities, the request in here is for 1,000. Do we want to give them more, or just go ahead and leave it at what their original request was?
Well, why don't we give them the extra 1,200? From the library, since that's part still within the 14,000 range.
From the door and window.
So you're saying we're taking off of the library, the cost of the door and the window?
Yes, 1,200, it'll come out of the library budget.
And I think all of the requests are very valid requests and benefit the community as a whole in one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, every one of them. Yeah. Worth it, that's for sure. I mean, I'm kind of surprised at Like the cancer fund, they could have easily asked them on us, and look at, from all that they do, but as requested, I would like to go with everything that's been requested. And when we take out the door and window, because that's another part of the budget.
So would you be in favor of redistributing that $1,200 or just
To the youth,
leave the request?
to the youth fund, or
Yeah, to redistribute it to the.
So they had requested remind me, 500 to 2,000. 2,000 is in the spreadsheet.
They originally requested 500 to 1,000.
You put $1,000 in our spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and for the youth activities. And they said they really like 1,500 to 2,000 because after they put in their request, then they also got their liability insurance quote.
So can you change it to 2,200 so that they can have the extra library money? Sure. Into the library.
So 2,200.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
help us to, so those amounts.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of that.
Hope West said
1,500 for the
2,200 for Plaza Valley
youth
Did your-
activities
your-
association.
Friends of the light, the door and the window.
because it says cancer fund 3,000 and Hope West 2,000 now. I think your lines got off one, Carla. That looks better.
Then 2,200 here.
Yeah.
So Jack, and we're increasing the
Nothing
capital
there.
activities to 2,200. That's the suggestion.
Yeah.
Eliminating the door and window cost.
Yeah, because we already have a $3,000 budget for. We already have $3,000 budget, like I said, for maintenance and upkeep to the library.
Before we make this final decision, I've seen, in 2023. That Safe Prom came and asked for money, they didn't last year. But I'm wondering if we want to include them. Because I think that, I don't know, or save money in case they do.
Well, then we'd have to take the money back away from.
Well, I would say. What I was thinking is possibly, giving, the youth, $2,000 instead of 22, and that would leave us 250, 350, 250 in the, discretionary fund budget.
It would leave 200.
Well,
I'm
the
of the,
original ask was 1,390. Oh, okay, never mind, leave 200.
Yeah, good.
well, I think if they wanted money, they should have requested personally.
Might depend on who's running the mission.
Well,
Sometimes
it's a bit
they
like
don't.
they're just doing it. Keeping their eye out next year.
And that could have been what happened in 2024 also. But every once in a while you get some late asks. Because they are not formed yet, so they don't know. Who knows who the chair is yet, and they didn't know that there was an opportunity to ask. It's just a thought.
Well, I would entertain a motion if there's. Are you thinking, Gary?
Well, I guess, we're kind of bouncing around here, I could, if we wanna go. Let's say 2,000 for the youth activities association. It leaves us what, $200, I would.
For the safe prom?
Or
Is that what you're thinking? Or
maybe
just-
whoever else might come in.
Just
late.
leave it into the discretionary fund?
Yeah, we could leave, I guess I would leave 200 and what, 250, and we could. Make the safe phone supporters aware of it, and they could come in and we could okay it. Yeah, I mean, it's a good, safe farm, that's a good program to contribute to, I'm kind of a big fan of the cancer fund also, but. Yeah, safe farm, that's a good thing for us to support.
And we don't necessarily have to give all that extra money to the youth activities if you think you want to divide it up to somebody else as well.
They have a big bill and
They do.
I don't want these two moms to have to use their own funds. Personally.
Especially with that insurance going up like it is.
I'm not opposed to the $2,000 of this thing. I'm not opposed to giving them $2,000.
No, that's what it's a good program to help get off the ground and everything. I mean, as like I said, as a former coach, I think it's good to get the kids engaged and start teaching them some sportsmanship and team effort. And I know for everybody, I mean, insurance is going up for everybody, I mean. I know that there's places in California, they won't even insure your home anymore. There's companies that won't even insure them.
I move that we fund the discretionary requests as asked, with the exception of deleting the Friends of the Library door window for $1,200 and giving the Plateau Valley Youth Activities Association $2,000.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? May we have a vote?
Trustee Price,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
and trustee Evan,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
So there is 250 that somebody could come up and say, it's wrong.
We'll go ahead and we do send out award letters and they do have to return the award letter and provide a program report in October and agree to abide by some restrictions and
That's not easy.
Do we want to finish with the resolutions and then go with the other discussion?
I think Tammy should hear she's standing there. I think.
No, it's okay, these people have been waiting, so I would sit in the back.
I don't think anybody has anything to say. They're the only one.
I'm not putting resolutions back.
I'm okay with doing whatever you need to do and put me last, that's fine. Do your town business, whatever that is, and then we can, that way there's nothing hanging over your head when we're done. So still do whatever,
So the resolution is, so this is the banking resolution. Adjust the signatures on the account. It is, I left on your table, a correction. Dusty's name was Miss Bowles, and so that's been adjusted, and then, I am on as an online only. So.
Okay.
Is there anything in the policies or ordinances that requires one of the signatures to a town board member as opposed to both signatures being from town staff?
I'm not aware of anything in the ordinances. I do know that the checks actually say treasurer and mayor is on the check itself. And so I believe that's been the practice, is to have a board member and then a staff or an appointed position.
Because I think in the past, we've only ever had one paid staff member be a signature.
Correct.
And now we have two.
Correct. Well, I think because everybody is
Interim
and part-time, it is helpful, but if you're uncomfortable with that.
I thought you were just staying a week or two, so I'm confused why you would be a check signer.
So, I suggest you talk with Angie about that. I am staying to assist with the transition, so.
Okay.
And I'm not a signer. I'm just able to access the accounts online.
Right. And when I spoke with Angie, this is what she said, this is the way most towns.
Most auditors will suggest.
Oh, we've always had two signatures, that was.
Yeah.
We do have two signatures on every check.
Oh, no, that's what you were saying, I'm not choosing, I'm just one.
No, that's. Question was making sure that at least one of them was a board member and not two paid staff members.
And we can clarify that it should be one of each, if
Yeah.
you'd like to add that language to the resolution.
I'm not sure I wanted to do that. Maybe in this case, yes. But I didn't think that we wanted to do that because in the past. There have been times when we have had to have the two board members sign because the check signer couldn't sign their own
Correct.
check.
That has been a situation.
Yeah. So, if we've got two paid and two, board members, maybe have a one-on-one. I just was thinking that we need to at least have a board member. At least one board member.
So I could rewrite the resolution, you could adopt it with that modification, or we could postpone this till the 4th, whichever you prefer.
We can't postpone this till the 4th because we can't write checks.
That's correct. I can rewrite the resolution while you have the next discussion and add that one signature shall be an appointee of the board and one signature shall be a board member. If you would like me to add that language to the resolution, I can do that while we are discussing the 4th of July.
Did we want it to say appointee or paid staff member?
Well, I believe both the clerk treasurer and the town administrator are appointees, so that would cover them.
If for some reason one of them was not paid for whatever.
Correct.
Makes sense.
So if you'd like me to do that, I can modify the resolution. Just so we're flat.
The rest of the board. The rest of the board feels on that.
It makes Tilda happy, it makes me happy.
I think that's fine.
Okay. I'll modify it, then I will, well, you talk about 4th of July and then I will bring it back to you.
Reprint it.
So let's table it. We don't have a motion, I don't believe on the table, so I will work on that. We can come back to it in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. We just wanted to wait till you look real comfortable.
Till I finally sat down and looked comfy.
I see they are. Yes. I can.
Do you have a breakdown of what was spent last year on the 4th of July? And
I do not, no, that I don't have. This budget of 41,000 does have to cover all of the different events, including the Easter egg, the Easter events, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Oktoberfest, Cowboy Christmas, the garage sale. Those are typically the sponsored events, and then
you don't have a breakdown of how much goes to each.
I do not. That was Melanie and Jenny, so I don't know how that was.
What did the town do for Memorial?
I don't know that there was much that was spent on it.
I don't remember anything of the town, cancer fund usually does it. So, I don't remember the town.
And then there is also a $30,000 placeholder for fireworks. I was able to review Jenny's email and it looks like when she got quotes last fall, and I don't know if they're still valid tonight, you know, if they would still be valid for 4th of July this year or not. But it's about $12,000 for a 12-minute show. So I think like a 15-minute show would be 15, you know, so roughly, I think you could estimate it's $1,000 per minute, basically, of fireworks. And again, I don't know, if you wanted to proceed with fireworks, we probably have to get Angie and Dusty on that fairly quickly to see if that could still be booked and everything, so.
Is that a separate company coming in again, or is that where we're gonna work with the
No,
fire department, like was kind of talked about last?
I believe the discussion was that the fire department is already kind of overextended over the 4th of July holiday. And so they were not interested in like learning how to shoot fireworks or anything like that.
Right.
Because they have to cover a multitude of events and, you know, it's the summer. So it would be with a paid company that does those types of things. And that's where, again, I went back, Jenny had some quotes from October and it looked like that was roughly the cost. So, but I don't know if it's possible to book them at this time of year. So,
I know it used to bring up more people to the,
It definitely brings, especially this year where you're looking at the 4th of July being on a Friday. The more, it allows you that after the rodeo time to do something else, either have fireworks or some kind of evening activity after, because people will be staying. And it will also bring more people in on the 4th to stay over the weekend, go camping, whatever. Probably if you have fireworks, because we do get people who say, are there gonna be fireworks? Are there gonna be fireworks?
yeah.
And then they're always really disappointed when they're.
Right, they filled up the motel, they filled up the camping at Vega.
Right, they come up and they camp everywhere and they stay everywhere and they really do enjoy that. That's kind of a.
Timmy, what about our street dance too on Friday night or?
Well, the reason we've always had it on the 3rd is because of the fireworks on the 4th. Because to do both, we just don't have enough town staff to manage both places. So we've always done the street dance on the 3rd. So that we can have the rodeo and then have the fireworks if we have them on the 4th.
Would it be too much to shoot for a street dance Friday and Saturday night?
You mean Thursday and Friday?
I don't know.
But
What
the night
day
of
would
the
your-
3rd is, the night of the 3rd is Thursday and the 4th is Friday.
So are your events ending Friday?
Yes, we only do the 3rd, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Yeah. Our rodeo we've always kept it, much to the chagrin of a lot of people in the state. We always keep it on the 3rd and 4th so that we have the rodeo to go with the town events. Because if we pull that, then the town events are not as successful, I don't think. So we have always, like I said, much to the chagrin of a lot of people who think we should always put it on, move it to the nearest weekend or avoid or whatever. We've always kept it on the 3rd and 4th for mostly for the town fee than anything. Because we know that that brings in a lot of people, which, supports the parade and supports everything else.
All the businesses.
All the businesses and everything, so if we pull the rodeo, then we don't have as many people. So we've always kept it on the 3rd and 4th.
So what events do you guys want to handle and what do you want us to handle?
That kind of depends on you, so. Used to be that we kind of worked with the chamber before it was over the town thing. And then we ended up taking the whole thing, so we have done the whole thing, but I'm too old and too tired to do the whole thing, I don't want to be out at 2 a.m. So we have split and we took all of the rodeo events, the things at the rodeo grounds, so that would be the Calcutta on the 2nd, that would be rodeo slack, that's the rodeo performances, that's the junior rock stock, and we have done that, and we've stayed over there, except for the running of the horses. We do help out with that. And then the town then took over the parade. The street dance, usually in coordination with Collbran Cafe. Because they've done a beer garden that goes along with the street dance. I don't know if we want to get Collbran Cafe and Brandy's involved in that together or how that would work. And then also the town has kind of overseen a kids carnival. In the past, they kind of helped be part of a car show with some other volunteer help. I think that's pretty much what the town has done, and then of course the firemen have done their pancake breakfast.
And then the American Legion has done a fish fry for lunch. The Historical Society has done like book signings sometimes.
Yeah, they didn't last year because they felt like all of the activities were away from the downtown area, and we kind of manned the auditorium as a cool place for people to come and rest and come and visit, and, you know, while they're doing all this stuff in the downtown area. Because I think the kids carnival got moved to Terrell, or
Seems like you guys moved it to Gandhi or Terrell.
yeah, they didn't participate in anything last year. And the year before, I have no idea, I wasn't here.
So. It kind of depends on what you guys want to do. We would need someone to oversee and organize the parade. Somebody's got to take entries and organize that and be available to line them up the floats and the entries, and then send them down Main Street. One or two people, usually at least two, because one person has to stand up at the top and one person needs to be next to the announcer, whoever's going to do the announcing, so they can kind of coordinate together. Whatever you decide to do with it, what we decide to do with the band and street dance, someone has to be here to set up the flatbed and block off the streets, make sure they have electricity and all of that, depending on where you set them up at. And they usually set them up here because they can run their electricity to one of the electric poles over here somewhere. That's usually why the flatbed has always been where it has been.
And I think it's easier to block off the street that way too.
Right, that and there is something to do with electricity, like there's a pole or a place where they can plug in so that it doesn't pull from other businesses and blow something.
Maybe the auditorium.
Wait
a minute. Not the auditorium.
Yeah, so, and then usually Collbran Cafe has done their own beer garden. And they set up their own perimeter and do what they need to do for the beer garden. I don't know what you want to do, if you want to do a kids carnival or if you want to involve Molina Baptist Church, I guess has done that some in the last couple of years, helped with that. I would love to see a craft fair happen. I think it's a great opportunity for Cowboy Christmas in July, because that's what we call the rodeo season in July is Cowboy Christmas. So it would kind of go along with that. And give people something to do. So what happens is you have a big chunk of time on the 3rd with nothing going on before the rodeo at night. And then you have a chunk of time on the 4th between the kids, the rough stock event over there and the rodeo. So you lose a lot of people in town because it's hot and there's nothing to do. They might stay for the running of the horses, or they might just be done after they've hung out and watched the little kids all afternoon in 100 degrees and they go home. So if we had something going on in there, you know,
What's the time gap?
it's about 3 hours worth of time in there, because we usually have to have the kids rodeo done by 3:30 at the latest. Because we run the horses usually at 4.
That's Friday?
Yes, on the 4th. And so then you've got a chunk of time like from 4 to 7 where there's nothing to do. And people are it's hot and there's nothing to do. I think having a craft fair here would be a great opportunity. I would also love to see a battle of the bands, which at one point in time, we had actually talked about doing that and maybe doing it over at Lilac Park because it's kind of shady. People could kind of hang out where it's a little cooler. If we could get enough bands to.
Have you talked to Brandy about any of this? Because Brandy was talking about Battle of the.
Missy said she had talked something, mentioned it to her, but we haven't gotten any further than that.
Okay.
So a battle of the bands would involve bringing in local talent, and having them do a set or whatever, or 2 or 3 songs, and then having some judges judge and see who was the best of the band or whatever. And it would give people a chance to kind of go sit and watch and get out of the heat a little bit, maybe. So at one point we had talked about
Well, years ago, when the creamery was still open and they had a stage over there, we had planned to put it there one year and then it kind of all fell apart and so it never actually happened. Now that that's private residence, maybe Lilac Park, because you don't want to get too far off the beaten path because people are wandering around and you don't want to lose them. You know, if you send them to Gandhi, they're never gonna go there because they don't know where it's at.
Right.
You might be able to do it at Terrell Park if you put enough signage up that, hey, bands are over here. But if they're walking along from the running of the horses and they hear music, they're gonna be like, hey, let's go check that out or
Yeah,
whatever.
thank you.
So you gotta think about how you're gonna keep people into an event and keep their interest. So I would love to see somebody kind of take that on. At least be able to coordinate bands and maybe that's Brandy, because I know she mentioned something to Missy
She
about
had a lot of ideas.
that she had some band people.
I
that she knew.
think Ed and Terry were talking to Brandy as well and helping out, so.
So, I mean, that would be a great addition. That would be something new, something we haven't ever done before. That would definitely help.
So how much time do you have on the third between events?
The third is a little bit different because the only thing going on the third that I know of right now anyway is Slack on the rodeo grounds and then nothing until the evening. So people are gonna hang out.
On the third.
No, I take that back. Running of the horses for that whole 15 minutes of running of the horses.
That's in the morning, right?
No, exactly.
And actually Thursday is a work day. So there really isn't.
You don't get as many people, if they work for the state, sometimes the governor gives you the third off, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes people take that, especially where the 4th is on Friday. You'll see more people on a Thursday, Friday, because they'll take a long weekend, like they'll take the 3rd off and have the 4th and then be able to stay.
So what's the time on fourth then?
But the 4th, really 4 to 7. But you also have people who don't want to go watch the kids, you know, because it's hot or that's not their thing. So it would be nice to have something else going on in the afternoon. Like
Well,
a craft
how
fair.
years ago, we used to have on Main Street. So they did a grease pig contest.
Yeah.
They had a grease pole contest. They had, arm wrestling contest. There was, gosh.
Fun stuff.
I mean, it was a whole bunch of little different things that they did, and they blocked the street off, and that was just an afternoon activity that we used to do when I was a kid.
Absolutely, and we have talked about doing some other things, we just don't have the manpower. To do this, if we had enough volunteers, now you cannot block Main Street. The whole day, so you would have to choose to do it.
I was asking what your time frame would be.
You would have to do those things on, is it Elm?
Elm Street.
Fire.
Either Mother's Park or Lilac Park.
If you're in Elm Park, that would be close to there, you have to do it there. Because 3:30 is a major thoroughfare, so you're actually not allowed to block the street, what is it, more than an hour?
I'm not sure, but yeah, you could block it off all after.
Right, I believe you can't have it blocked more than an hour because it's a major thoroughfare. So you have to choose another street to do that kind of
How do they do
stuff.
street dance that night?
Yeah, that's more than an hour.
And there's some stipulations, we'd have to double check, but I believe you can't have it blocked like during business hours. More than an hour of time because it's a major thoroughfare.
That's probably the catch.
Probably gonna have major semis going through town and stuff.
Oh, yeah, there was.
I don't know. And there probably wasn't regulations because there weren't nearly as many regulations a long time ago as there are now. But I do know that there are some stipulations as to how long Main Street itself can be blocked. We could block other streets to do stuff. We just can't block 3:30 because it's a major highway. For more than a specified number of minutes. And I want to say it's just an hour and we push it with the parade sometimes. But there is a stipulation there and we have to double check on the regs. But you do have Elm Street, which is actually cooler because there's trees.
Yeah.
But you know, if there's a group of people in town that want to get together and do some of those fun things and organize those, I don't think any of us would be opposed. The main thing is we just have never had the manpower to do it. I'd like to see lawnmower races.
Yeah.
You probably want more to the tool man. It's something of the park, you could have young side races, you could do cornhole, because there's all kinds of different games.
Dunking game.
Tank before, we have put in, we've gotten it from. Job Corps, and we put it over by the hardware store and the library between there. 2 or 3 years, we did have a dunk tank. Again, you have to have people to man it. I have 4 people on my rodeo committee. We're pretty much booked. I mean, I can bebop around and make sure everything's going okay if this is gonna be in my lap, but I can't man it. I can't stay there. Because I have to be elsewhere doing, making sure that the productions that we're doing are going, but. I think it would be great if we can get some people who are interested in. Doing that and promoting it and having it organized.
So your professional announcer, is he up to announcing for the parade also?
We could ask him.
Cause he's not obviously busy at that time. We're already renting his equipment for the parade.
Wait, right, well, we're renting the sound man's equipment, Tonka has never announced before, but we could ask.
And we have lots of people in town that have announced that we can have to.
Right, Monty, we've used Monty Hawkins in the past before too, but I can definitely ask Tonka and see if he'd be interested. He just wouldn't know anyone, so he could only read the blurb that whatever they did. Would be the only
Right.
thing, because he just doesn't know anyone, but he would definitely do a good job, because he's very professional. So I can ask him about that.
Did you guys have a band in mind and a price?
I do not at this point. I had reached out to a band that Tonka had suggested, but I haven't heard back from them yet. I can have it in a day or two if you want it. I don't know who our local bands we could reach out to.
Brandy has a
Right.
list of bands and resources, and
We just have to be careful that they're good enough that people are gonna want to stay.
yeah.
A lot of local bands are not.
Yeah, I think he was looking at bigger band names too.
The one that, was it last year or the year before,
It was
couldn't come at the last minute?
That was the gal
Yeah.
that was supposed to be from Nashville or something, and she missed it the first night because of the closure of the canyon. And she couldn't make it around in time, and then the next year she was show something at the last minute.
Yeah.
Don't worry, cancel at the last minute, and then that's how I think that's how we did it with the Lost Junction band, is because she canceled after she'd already booked it, because she couldn't make it, so she rebooked for the next year, and something bigger came up by them.
It would be nice to have a new fresh band though, not.
We have Lost Junction band for 2 years in a row, so it would be good to have another one if we can explore some of those options.
Can you get in touch with Brandy to brainstorm, or are you too?
I can, it's just have to be on a Friday and Saturday. But,
I know she's bursting at the seams for band ideas at least.
we can have a Heritage Days meeting too, to figure out, some other things as we go, more informal.
Yeah.
And make it more of a committee meeting too. I think the biggest thing is figuring out, how much of this do you guys want to take on?
I know the band needs to be booked ASAP.
I mean, we have to book a band somewhere quickly, whatever you decide your budget's going to be.
And you mentioned a flatbed trailer. I mean,
And I don't know where Melanie has gotten that flatbed trailer either the last several years.
I'm
22 footer. Say, I don't know how big she had, but I know it's flatbed.
I'm happy to let them use that 33-foot gooseneck that I have, just leave it hooked up to the F-450 and.
What are options?
And yeah, absolutely, because you're gonna need one to get them up off the street. I mean, they have played on the street too, but usually it's better if they're up off the street.
I think that we probably need to go ahead and get the band done if possible, and go ahead and have the town pay for it since we've done it in the past. Part of our problem is, we don't know who our staff is going to be.
Right.
When they're going to start.
So it may end up being town members.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, I'll take on the band, I'll take on overseeing the street. I'll take on doing the kids carnival or something like that, just so we have a points person,
Symbol committee.
you know, and kind of subcommittee, it may be what we need to do this year, because you don't have someone to be the point person here in town hall right now. And that may be the way we need to do that, you know, with me being point person or whatever overall, or however you guys want to do that. I think you need to probably figure out what is your max amount you want to spend on a band.
They said it was 2,500 the last 2 years, so.
And so if that's where you want to stick, keep in mind, you're a little bit late. And so, you know, if you know what your max is, we can offer 25 if that's your max, or if you're willing to go a little higher, a little lower, you know, we can negotiate. Sometimes that's kind of what we have to do, depending on where you're getting them from, where you're.
I haven't just be late to put, fireworks in now anyway.
Well, something you could consider if you really had $30,000 budget is to look into a much bigger name. If you're going to get a much bigger name, you're going to pay about 25 grand to bring in like a country singer. Like Meeker brings in some, you know, some of the bigger bands, but they're looking, you know, they pay 25 grand. So if you can't get fireworks, maybe you want to look into bringing in like a bigger concert, a bigger name. That's just a thought.
Yes.
But you're looking at paying big money even to get a big list, a B list.
If we got a huge, there's not even enough parking.
I think if you were to do that, we would have to coordinate it at the rodeo grounds after the rodeo, or you would have to put it at Terrell Park. I mean, not that you couldn't, and it would definitely be something different and exciting for people. But you're looking at paying a lot more money than just a street dance band. But it's definitely a possibility. You know, places like Meeker and stuff, they bring in big. You could look at something like that. Yeah,
It just gives us a little bit more caution on how much.
sure. Absolutely. So that's something, I guess, as a town, you're gonna have to decide, do you want to pursue an actual concert and have a concert this year? Rather than just a street dance on the street.
I think people really like the street dance part of it. And, you know, if we happen to have a good dance band. That would be good, as opposed to a singer necessarily, but.
Right, well, your singers are gonna bring their band with them. I mean, they're gonna bring their.
But, you know, have it, whoever it is, somebody that you can dance to, as opposed to, you know. If people want to do that.
Right, yeah, well, if it's an outdoor concert, you would probably be dancing. Or you can set up a space for a dance if you do an outdoor concert of someone bigger named too. You know, I mean, there's lots of different options and different ways to look at it.
Well, maybe we ask Brandon to give us some suggestions with costs and make a decision from there. I can talk to the Talbots and see if they have a lot of fans down there, Talbots down on the thing.
You know,
And
I think what you need is
New
to have them send some sort of, I hate to call it an audition tape, but you know, some sort of either a YouTube video or a recording or something. You know, so we can hear. Right, so you
Just get a name or something.
so that we could see if, you know, because we're looking for a country rock kind of combination. I think that hits people well, that kind of style. For both. So that's kind of what you're looking for. We've had several, not, I wouldn't say big names, but decent names here in over the course of the years. So.
But again.
Not sure that's quite what people are looking for. They would, but definitely, like if you're gonna do a battle of bands, you know, the smaller bands, that would be a way to encourage them to come and give the town an opportunity to be who's out there too, if we like that. You know, and maybe your winner could open for the bigger band or something like that too, be the opener. You know, whoever wins your battle of the bands, if we had it, then that winner could open for next year's street dance or something like that.
So you have some options.
And the weather's always, as far as the fireworks go, even if we could get fireworks, if it's too dry, they have in the past, let them off for like New Year's or whatever.
Have they ever thought of just an entertaining DJ? Or even if we did a street dance on both nights, do a DJ the other night?
They have had canned music, DJ music in the past. You know, it kind of takes away from the live music is just better, but.
It is, yeah, but if we can't afford it, so.
But, if we can't support it, something like
I
that.
don't know how much a DJ is.
Probably depends on who it is and how good they are. You know, if you got one from the local radio station, you know, that knows what they're doing, then you're probably pretty good. If you just get a wedding DJ, maybe not. Kind of depends on who and what they have and what kind of lights they have, because you want the lights and you want all of that that goes with it, other than just somebody playing music on Dark Street.
Yeah.
You know, you want that entertainment factor.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have that many people attend. You know, so you gotta take that into account, you know, what kind of entertainment do you have? You know, if we wanna keep the reputation of this is a really good, fun, entertaining event to come to, that people wanna spend money and come and stay, you have to have your entertainment be slightly more than just a Saturday night in Collbran entertainment.
Yeah.
Especially the more and more people who need to be entertained, we have to provide entertainment.
I'm just thinking for the off night, not the main night.
But, you know, I mean, we could do something that we could do the Battle of the Bands the night of the 3rd after the rodeo too, if you wanted to do it, you know, like if Randy wanted to do it out here, but again, you probably have to block the street for a certain amount of time so that, you know, she could have her bands on her sidewalk, or we could put them here or something like that, so that she would benefit, but we could certainly visit with her and see if she wants to head out. I think. I mean, it's adding one more thing. I think the more that we fill, like the rodeo, we're good. We bring in lots of people. We've been doing it. This is my 22nd year. We've pretty much got that down to a science. But what happens here is to keep people here. This is what tends to kind of fall by the way. We just don't have that many people willing to step up, and it takes people to do it. And 4 of us just can't. 4 or 5 of us can't pull it off without. So we gotta pull some other people in, some more volunteers to kind of help out with that. We're gonna make it a bigger, better event. Or do you want me to, do we want to set just a heritage days meeting where we just kind of custom discuss heritage days and we bring Randy in that rather than.
Yeah,
Official town meeting, or
I think that's probably a good idea, just to bring in a committee meeting. Include the current staff. Because they certainly can help with whatever. And they know that they're going to know that what the money part of it is, be able to say, well, yeah, we do this or no, we can't. But yeah, town celebrations run on volunteers, and the more the better, so.
how about it? If we can get them involved, you can get them involved, more power to you, please do. So. Probably like a Friday would be better for me. It's really hard for me to get here. I work till 6:30. It's a good hour and 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes from where I work, so. If we could do it on a Friday, that would be much.
During the day, maybe.
During the day is fine, because I have Friday, so that would be a good time, or the weekends. I hate to do that, but it just would work out better for me than to try to all from Rifle to the night. So if we're gonna have a committee meeting, that would be better. So do we want to try one for next Friday, or? I'm good this Friday until about 4 o'clock, and then I have 4-H after that. We're on.
And she is sick, so I don't know if we should plan it this Friday, but I know we don't want to put it off too.
No, we don't want to put it off much longer, so.
Can you just, on a personal note, reach out to Brandy and talk to her and see what her ideas are?
And then maybe.
And invite her.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, she was involved.
Yeah. And see what she's got for band ideas and price points and. That might be a good place to start.
Yep, we can definitely do that.
And I'll ask Angie and Dusty to reach out to you then about maybe next Friday.
Do you guys wanna do that next Friday?
Invite whoever you think.
Does next Friday work? That gives us. Week and a half.
Yeah, give you a chance to.
And whoever else is to be involved, give me a heads up. You can definitely,
Are we talking like 9 AM?
I don't know, do you wanna do it early in the morning? Do you wanna do it?
Well, I'm just thinking for her at the restaurant, so that she doesn't miss lunch or dinner. Because I don't know what time she opens. Somebody should probably talk to her. Do you want to talk to her? We nominate Tammy Clark. We nominate Tammy.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
No, I've kept under the radar for several years now, kind of thinking that.
We have to call her anyways and talk band, so you might as well.
I will. Let's see what we wanna do. So next Friday?
Yeah, that is 28. Yeah, 20.
And I guess I'll see. Who do you want me to communicate with as far as what works for her, and then we can set a time via email? Is it you that
Yeah.
send this information, or?
I'll send an email to Angie and just kind of let her know. Angie's our interim town administrator. So I'll just have her visit with you, and I know she's already visited with Randy, so. About sometime on the 28th.
Okay.
So.
That works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you for coming.
You have a great idea. You can be on. Just want to get me. That's okay. I will twist arms and use bribery if necessary. All right. Then I guess that's it. All right.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay. Item 8, placeholder resolution.
I move that we approve resolution 2025-003 series of 2025. A resolution of the Board of Trustees of the town of Collbran, Colorado, designating signatories on the town bank accounts and individuals authorized to conduct online banking on behalf of the town.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further? Doing none, a vote?
Trustee Winkleblack,
Yeah.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Price,
Yeah.
and Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Sign this now.
Yeah, you would. We'll take it to the bank. Yeah, somebody will have to do that tomorrow. I can't.
I don't know if that's gonna test it.
She might be able to. Yeah, she should be able to. Yes, so I'll have her do it tomorrow.
Okay.
And take her to the bank.
Oh, she gets to feeling better quick. It's moving.
Yeah, I think Asia has the flu, so.
Thank you. And adjournment,
I move to adjourn.
second. Yay.
I'll give you some of these if you want after round season. Grandpa was on. And my kids.
Yeah.
I'll show them.
Yeah. Till then.
I'll see what you want. I have a private home.
Well, not a meeting subject, but can you figure out this water and sewer stuff on my mom's account?
So I would have to come in and talk with Dusty, our new town clerk, and explain what's happening. And bring her up to speed, and then,
You.
and I can't do anything about it, but that's what she needs to do to staff.
When did we swear her in?
Well, she hasn't been sworn in yet, because she's not here tonight, she started today.
Okay.
Um,
Are we open every single day then? Can we come in any day or is it still Tuesday, Friday?
Duffy will be in tomorrow until noon. She has some working part-time in right now. I will be here Thursday and Friday, and you here normally, like, here, but she is sick. So our intent is that we're open every day, we just.
What day should I have her come in?
Why don't you have, I mean, if she wants to come in tomorrow before noon, she's talk with Duffy.
Oh, that's issues.
No, Angie is sick.
Oh, and it's on one.
So, but Dusty may need to also visit with Angie. It would be better if she can wait until next week. But I don't want to.
Where the bills that now are wrong.
I understand.
So I'm just trying to help her get it figured out.
So I think it would be better if we waited until next week when Angie is here, and then Angie and Dusty can talk about it. But
It's not a difficult, like, it doesn't take an army to make this decision. She's getting billed for sewer and there's no usage. You should be getting billed the base rate. You're getting billed the usage rate.
so, again, I think that is what Angie and Dusty's role is. So it's not for me to decide. So, and
I would say Dusty will be here in the morning.
she will be here tomorrow. She's been here for half a day, so she will not.
You need to keep that money.
I just told her not to, but it's right now, she's over me.
Right, and I mean, the bills aren't due to March 10th, so there's plenty of time to figure it out.
Sorry, like I said, there's 3 months worth. You don't need to go, I just told her, I don't know what the problem with that. Oh, it's really not you. I'm trying to get a bill straight out. You should have already done that. You're going into that.
Is there anything else that I need to?
Let me stop.
Start that.